Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Game Pass. I'm Nathan, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I've been holding out on you. I know I said Astrologer was dank, I know I said Double Colossal Swords are OP, but this right here, this is on a whole different level. What I'm about to show you is so broken that it legitimately makes me feel bad for the enemies. This is not a joke, this is true. The Astrologer has dingleberries, this sword has a dingleberry beam. Yeah, can you even comprehend the power? I couldn't. And the craziest bit is you can get this absurdly powerful weapon and use it in under an hour by just following this guide. So yeah, enough bad jokes, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Here's our ultimate holy warrior. Make an OP Confessor with the Sword of Night and Flame +5 in under an hour. Before we start, a quick spoiler warning. I do spoil the second area, Lunaria of the Lakes, in this video. This is where the sword is, however, so if you want it, you just gotta deal with it. I don't spoil anything super major like any bosses or anything, mostly just the location, but yeah, just saying. For our starting class, we're going to run a roll with our boy Confessor. Now, you could technically pick Astrologer, but Confessor not only looks like a holy warrior, I like his starting stats, and I already made an Astrologer video, so I'm not making another one. Pick Seed as your gift, you are going to need it. Now, the reason why I want Confessor is the sword we're going to get is called the Sword of Night and Flame, and as you can see, it has some interesting requirements. 12 Strength, 12 Dex, 24 Int, and 24 Faith. That is a lot to ask. Now, luckily, the Confessor starts with both 12 Strength and 12 Dex, but he's not super smart and only 9 Int, and only kind of believes in the great Miyazaki and his waifu harem at 14 faith, so we're gonna need to pump them numbers up. However, let's get some starting stuff out of the way first in case you are an absolute beginner. After the tutorial, touch the first grace, run up the hill and touch the grace at the church, then run up to the camp and touch the third grace. I stupidly aggroed the entire camp here, so it took me longer than I expected. This is because I wanted the map, which I also suggest getting, but after you rest there, waifu number 1 will appear and grant you a horse. Immediately warp back to the church and waifu number 2, aka Big Impressive Hat Waifu, will give you summons. Now we're ready to start. While you're at the church, let's head south down to the beach and grab the golden KFC chicken foot at the end of this pathway. We are going to need it because we're doing my 5k souls, which is now actually 100k souls, dragon trick in order to praise Buddha more and get our GED. Okay, our starting stuff is done, now we need a bleed weapon. There are 2 easy bleed weapons I usually prefer, the flail or the katana, but big ol' fumble butt Confessor here doesn't have enough dex for those, so we're gonna need to journey down a bit to get one he can actually use. Head south along the main road to the southern island, and after you cross the Bridge of Slaughter, touch the grace and keep going south into a canyon full of enemies. At the busted cart, you'll find a morning star, which thankfully requires the grace of a peanut and the finesse of a drunk orangutan to wield correctly, so our Confessor Holy Warrior can maybe handle it. Run further down the road to the Grace, and then you're gonna want to warp back to the Grace at the southern side of the main continent by the lake. Now we're gonna go find the chest full of legal vaping smoke. We'll just leave it at that. At the center of the main lake is a dragon ruins here, so head over there and then hop down the stairs. Run through the cave to avoid getting consumed by the vermintide as well as the dogs, and open up the chest. You're now going to channel your inner Snoop Dogg and just let the high take you, man. After your bad trip, you wake up in a mine from hell. Don't worry, we are not staying here long. You can pop the chest and then just hoof it this way towards the exit, touching the grace on your way out. Now I wonder where this mysterious drug-filled bender ended us. Uh-oh, okay. Yeah, it's Florida. We're back in Florida. I should have known that if we were talking about, you know, drugs, benders, and just bad nights out, Florida was somehow involved. Anyway, we're gonna go kill a dragon and get a treat along the way. So the dragon from here is actually north and to the east. However, there is a small problem, which is called an enormous freaking canyon in the way. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of a detour in order to get there. From the mine, you're going to follow the canyon wall west and go north whenever you can. Just keep following it in that direction. Now, eventually you will find this small opening in the wall. This is not a way through, but it is a detour we're going to want to take. Head up through there and avoid the balls. Why are there balls? Exploding balls? What? I guess that's where we're at. Well, anyway, dodge balls and get the item at the end, which is a smithing stone +5, which we will be using in this guide. After that, head out and then keep heading to the west. As you keep going, this will probably start looking familiar if you follow my astrology guide. This is the swamp that contains the meteor staff from the Astrologer build. We're basically going to leave the swamp the opposite way we would have done through the guide, which is you grab that lower grace, you cut up through the top, through the swords, past the merchant to the other grace, and you find the main path. Okay, we are out, so now it is going to be much easier to get to the dragon. From here, you head north until you reach a grace and a wall. You then follow the wall to the right, to the east, and then hop it and continue going north until you can hop over the canyon at this smaller spot. You then follow the road to the grace. From here, just follow the road south, pick up the map along the way, till you hit another fence, and then follow that fence until you see the dragon and the grace grace behind him. Now we're going to kill this dragon with the Morningstar's bleed damage, and I found with this weapon actually hitting the body is the best effective spot. You can see I tried the tail first, then switch. Just remember that before you actually land the final blow, you have to eat the chicken foot to get your bonus XP. So take that KFC break. It's important to keep those carbs in you. After you kill the dragon, during its death animation, I'd also shimmy down the hill a little bit just to make sure you grab the runes from those other dragons, and that will give us around 96,000, which is exactly what we need. So let's time to get Swol and get on our next quest. There should be just enough XP from this to level Faith and into 24 each, where you will have 6,000 left over. Now, if something went wrong and you didn't get the full amount, don't worry. We are going to get a bunch more souls later, so you can make it up then. Don't freak out, you're fine. For now, just revel in the fact that all you need to do to get smart and become a priest was slay a comatose dragon. We're going to warp all the way back to the first area of the game, either that militia camp one where we met Firth's waifu, or in my case, I actually journeyed through the archway up. I already touched the shack grace, so I warped there. But then we're going to head north and ignore the castle on the left and approach the bridge, which I have named Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges is sadly broken, and the lady on it will tell you can't use it, but what does she know about the Big Lebowski? Nothing. So head to the end and you can easily hop off. Who needs a bridge? Mother Nature has provided. Now follow this up the canyon, avoiding all the wolves and enemies along the way until you find your first grates. Congrats, you just completely skipped the first dungeon and are now in the second area. Right, I'm gonna be straight with you, this is where things get really dicey. You are going to need to journey along this path that I have written on this map all the way to the northeast part of Lunaria of the Lakes. Now I highly suggest grabbing all the maps along the way. And if you didn't know this, the game actually shows their location on your map if you haven't discovered it yet. It looks like a little pillar thingy. So it's worth sidetracking to grab them if you are nearby. You should also try and touch every single grace you find because this area can kill you, and again, it's very big and wide open, and dying means a lot of running more. Eventually, as you continue north and east, you'll go under these balloon guys, and then you will land on this new land, which is where we want to be with this map. Now, you're going to follow the path a little bit north and now a little west through these ruins. You will eventually run into a wall, and believe it or not, this is actually an illusionary wall. I know. After all of the notes, I was shocked. And you want to notice something? Did you notice something here? There are no notes on the ground saying illusionary wall for the real illusionary wall. All right, whatever, let's move on. Touch this grace and then talk to the giant smith. He can sell you smithing stones, which you will need. If you have that 6k left over, buy the most expensive one, the +4, and we'll come back for the rest later. Don't worry. We are very close to our sword now, but first we have to traverse the valley of Dingleberry Death. So now we're going to continue north from the giant, following the road to this manor, but the manor is not happy you're around, so it's going to fire weaponized artillery dingleberries at you from the heavens above. So you will need to dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge your way across this field. Don't worry, it's not actually that hard. Once you touch this grace, you're going to then follow the straight path through the building, ignoring all of the hands, including the one that flips you off, and pass through 3 arches until you enter this final building. Once you are there, climb to the top and touch the other grace. You're probably pretty tired from all the running by now, understandable, but don't worry, we are almost there. Run across the top of these walls until you reach this ledge here, and then jump down to the lower building. Jump again and climb down the ladder, open the chest to find our Lord and Savior, the Sword of Night and Flame. Oh, it's so beautiful. You guys don't even know. You don't even know what's in store. Okay, anyway, let's go upgrade it. So we're going to need a bunch more runes to upgrade the sword, as we need smithing stones 1, 2, 3, as well as the mine to upgrade, but luckily there's a really easy XP spot right near that dead dragon. Warp there and then head north, carefully going down this first ledge and ignore this boss. Once you go a bit further north, there's a bunch of tombstones on the right that will have some rune stones in them, but that's not enough for what we need to do, so we're going to need to keep going. If you're familiar with the boulder XP trick, this is actually where you do it, if it looks familiar, but we need to get down there without dying. There's 2 ways of doing it. You can try and jump onto the boost pad, which I am terrible at and died multiple times, so I gave up and ended up just shimmying kind of down the ledge over here to be more safe. Touch the grace and then make it night if it isn't already. Then on the bridge, a spooky nightman will spawn. Let's glitch kill him. So the trick to this guy is you're going to need to have him chase you up that far hill, which is covered in poison mines. Don't worry about getting poisoned yourself, you'll be fine. Your goal is to keep him as close behind as you can, but not close enough that he can kill you. Just keep going as carefully as you can with him following up behind until you see these 3 guys at the end. At that point, you hoof it and hop over to the left. For whatever reason, this kills him outright. I'm not sure why this works. I think it has something to do with his spawn resetting with poison on him, but I don't care because now we're rich. Warp back to the giant smith, buy the stones, and upgrade the sword to a +5. Also, you might as well level up because you'll have XP. This sword seems to scale best with faith and int, but I put it in vite because I'm a coward. Okay, our sword is ready. Let's go test it out. Was it worth this giant, huge quest? I don't know, but who should we test it out on? Oh, I know a guy. Okay, it's time to show this first boss whose business. Now, the way you use this weapon art is similar to Unsheath. You hold L2 and then press either R1 or R2 in order to do a move. So let's test this out. Let's start by pressing R1. What? What? Holy sweet maiden, that is absolutely absurd. Like, how is this balanced? How is this fair? How is this even possible? Okay, we're gonna calm down. It probably rounds itself out. Like, the L2 plus the R2 probably sucks, right? We can go try that out. Oh, mama. Yeah, it's good too. Everything about this weapon is good. Well, I guess it's time to 3-shot every boss in the game. And there you have it, less than an hour. I actually timed it this time, and you are absolutely broken. I fully anticipate this will get nerfed, but for now, let's just revel in its glory. You're probably wondering where to go from here. Well, you actually have some good options. You don't really need another weapon, but since you're going to be putting some points into Int and Faith, I'd suggest picking one of those 2 routes. You're getting some good spells and incantations for those. You'll also want to put points in Mind, as this thing eats a lot of mana, as well as Vite, so you can, not die. Endurance can also help with armor and stamina, but honestly, you can pretty much do whatever you want, because this sword is going to carry you through massive chunks of the game. We have created the ultimate holy warrior with this ultimate holy weapon. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm still working on that Mage Knight guide, but after discovering this, I knew I had to find an optimal route to it and share it with y'all, because it's just absurd. Here's hoping they don't nerf it, but I'm not holding my breath. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like or a comment. Again, I greatly appreciate the success this channel has had, and I'm going to keep trying to provide Elden Ring content. Probably not as frequently because it's incredibly exhausting, but it will still keep coming as long as I'm still playing the game. So look forward to that, and enjoy your time in Elden Ring.